Hello, ladies and gents, Verishop viewers. I hope you're well wherever you are in the world. It's me once again, Jono, currently here in quite a, well, I would say overcast Mexico. I don't know if you can see behind me here because I'll open the door actually. Hold on, let me have a quick look. Here you go. It's quite overcast. It's almost, I mean, it's very humid, but it does feel a little bit like we could potentially be in London. I'll be in London with a really nice beach. So I am still in Mexico, as you can see, and I'm here for another couple of days before I then head off to another location, which by next week you will find out exactly where I am. I hope you've had a good weekend wherever you are. Today's show is all about men's shoes. Specifically formal shoes, of which Verishop actually have a number of really great additions to their collection. So we're going to go through them, and also we're going to be talking about a very brief, short history of the shoe. And on top of that, I also have some really great fun facts for you about shoes. So do stay tuned because there's a lot coming up on the show. We've got about 6 products on today's show, ranging from Doc Martens, which is one of my favorite shoe brands of all time, and I actually have a pair with me now that I can show you on screen. Cotswold, Base London, Ambers. A lot of those shoe companies are actually based in the UK, and I'm sure, as you know, I always like to promote my home country. So, as I said, we've got a lot to get through on today's show. As always, any questions, please do put them in the comment box below. It could be about shoes, it could be about anything, or any of the previous shows that we've gone through before. If you have any questions that you'd like to know about, we spoke about trousers and we did the one on jackets and suits last week as well. Then again, please do let me know. As always, your heart emoticon stuff is brilliant as well. Please do send of the modern man. Certainly, you could trace it back to, say, the biblical age. People certainly would wear something on their feet to make sure that and another element to this was the fact that a little later on, it wasn't actually women that started wearing heels, it was actually men and knights, for instance. So they needed that for the stirrups of the horses. So again, I love the idea of this, that a lot of historical fashion, the reinterpretation of gender and what one should wear has very much been blurred. The lines have been blurred throughout the centuries. So, again, really, number one fun fact for you there, that actually it was men who were originally wearing high heels. And again, you could dovetail this and sort of say in regards to the 1970s and the platform shoe. If you look at John Travolta in the Saturday Night Fever, he has that sort of raised upper platform heel. So again, it's quite funny how the world works and links and syncs together on regards to heels and men's heels specifically. Moving on to the mid 16th century, Charles I, war was breaking out. So again, there was a reason and a purpose for a certain type of shoe. And the shoes that became far more popular were ones that involved military leather style boots, because obviously these men were going to war, they'd be fighting in fields, and there would certainly again be horse riding. So that type of shoe was far more practical for that day and age. So I'm going to just go on a little caveat here and actually open up our first product to you guys this afternoon, wherever you are. So this is the Cotswold shoe. It's the men's Oxford lace-up brown. Now, I picked this shoe because it's coming to fall, as I know we spoke about last week, and brown is certainly a really great color to invest in regards to, sort of the season, essentially. It works really well and complements other browns and sort of darker greens, and obviously, again, maybe slightly more of a lighter brown, and also a slightly, I'd say, white as well. You can certainly wear this in regards to a full suit, a full ensemble with a white shirt. So this is a premium leather, waterproof, which is, again, because we're coming up to autumn, is always a very fine thing. You certainly don't want to have wet feet and toes around. So they are waterproof, and they are in the brogue style. So again, another little fun fact here: broguing is the process by which holes are produced in the shoe, and essentially it is pretty much decorative. I'm not sure if there's any real claim to any practical use for them. Potentially, maybe it aerates the feet slightly, maybe makes them a little bit less sweaty in the leather. Probably the only thing I can think about as to the use of them. But yes, broguing is the idea of punching holes into the leather shoe. So it is in a broguing style, and it comes in 5 eyelets, and obviously the eyelets are at the top of the shoe where they thread through the lace. Essentially, they're the metal rings. This is what we call the eyelet. So there's 5 eyelets there, and apparently they also have a comfortable memory foam footbed, which again I think is really important because my grandma always used to say, you should always spend your money on 2 things. One is a good bed, and the other is a pair of good shoes, because you're either in one or the other. So the fact that these have a comfortable memory foam footbed is a fine thing, because if you are on your feet all day, it is a very important thing for your posture and so your health in general, to make sure that you have comfortable fitting shoes. And also, this is a little bit of an element in regards to sizing as well. Guys, you have to know what your size shoe is. I used to work in a retail store many years ago when I was a teenager, so many years ago, and I used to get these guys that would come in and they would say, "Yeah, I'm a size 11," which in I guess in the US would be size 45. And I go to the back of the shop and go and pull out the size 11, size 45 box shoes. And lo and behold, they tried them on, obviously in front of their girlfriend and in front of me, and they were far too big. And I'm sure we all know the old adage in regards to, bigger feet equal bigger ankles. But actually, please, guys, make sure that you don't have shoe sizes that are overly large or too small, because they will certainly either cut into your feet or give you a very bad posture, and you potentially be falling over yourself. No one wants clown shoes, so please do make sure that you do pick the right size, especially when you are shopping online, like on the Verishop website. You can see that they do have that sort of the size boxes there. I think between 8 to 12, I think the last time I looked, certainly for a lot of the styles. So yeah, so these are the Cotswold men's Oxford lace-up browns, and they are currently, as I said, at a steal. They're originally $111 or $110.99, and they are now at $45.86, so just under $50. Can't go wrong. Pretty much over half price there. I'm going to move on to the next product that I'm going to display on the screen for you as well. And again, it's from the same company called Cotswold. And I don't know, actually, I tried to look, they're based in the especially brown color like these, they're going to look great, guys. I can assure you. And also a pair of jeans work very well with a pair of Chelsea boots as well. So that's why I picked these. And again, they are $73.69 at the moment. So definitely get them whilst they're still in stock. So as I said, they are brown in color. I believe they also might do a black as well. So just double check on the Cotswold area of the Verishop site for that, guys. Fun fact, let's move on now. So we already spoke about the fact that men were the first to wear heels in the 10th century onwards. Interestingly as well, platform shoes were also worn by men first in the Greek era. So in ancient Greece, actors on stage, in order to show their status, if they were a serious actor or if they're a comedic actor, the serious actors would wear platform type shoes in order to raise themselves above the comedic actors that wore socks. So there you go again. Once again, redefining what gender and what a certain type of gender would wear throughout the ages again. So not only heels, also platform shoes as well. Sneakers, moving on, got their name from the rubber soles. And in regards to the fact that it's a wordplay in order to sneak up on someone. Sneakers to sneak up on someone. I thought that was very good. That's from the 18th century as well. So the word sneakers isn't actually a modern word at all. It dates back 100 and so years. So there you go. We don't have any sneakers on today's show. Perhaps on my next show coming up next Sunday, maybe we could delve into sneakers because we've done the formal shoe. Perhaps potentially we could do the casual shoe. So we can flip that. Right. Moving on here for my next product is another British brand based London. They started. I had a look on their website actually. More catching to the eye, less dulls, more of a high shine, then this would certainly be for you. I mean, I remember a number of years ago, I was wearing overtly shiny shoes, almost like dance shoes in a way. And I don't know, I think they'll probably be coming back. Well, actually, interestingly, a lot of more formal shiny shoes generally come around in trend a certain part of the year. And they are going at $93.24 at the moment. So that is the 15% off discount there. On top of, no, there's no other discount. That is 15% off. So again, originally it was $136, $137. with that extra 15% off, it just takes it under that $100 mark. And, it's always nice to save a couple of cents, right? So, yeah, they are based London, and this is obviously the live stream deal as well. Guys, please, any questions, feel free to ask. I am here for another 15 minutes. You've got me in regards to this show. I'm going to go back now in regards to the history of the formal shoe. So we spoke about in the mid-16th century, Charles I, war and political unrest. Shoes, well, boots really became the footwear of choice because of the practical nature of certainly being in the battlefield and on horseback. They certainly needed that practicality. But in the 18th century, King Louis the 16th, this was, and again, we've spoken about this on shows before. King Louis certainly was a trendsetter, and not just in France and Europe, but also in the UK and England as well, certainly England as well. And so the influence of French fashion was huge. And we can't understate the fact that we don't have any on today's show, but buckles, shoe buckles became a thing. And again, this would show your status and your wealth essentially in regards to what type of buckle you would adorn your shoe with. So men that were of lower status generally would have a brass buckle. But then obviously men of a higher rank and wealth would have sometimes diamond encrusted buckles, or they would have bejeweled stone setters as well. So again, this was just to show your status in society and where you stood, no pun intended. Moving on to the 19th century, and this is just to double back on regards to what I said earlier. These types of shoes that I'm showing you now, such as the Oxford and the Derby, were introduced. And Oxford and Derby shoes, obviously you could kind of tell where they originate from, again, England, are still very in vogue. And certainly, guys, I would look into buying a decent pair of either or, as I said earlier, maybe a pair of Chelsea boots as well for the weekend and maybe something more casual attire. I have a funny thing in regards to men's shoes. You can certainly tell when men buy cheap formal shoes. There's just something about the offness of the cheap leather, if they are even leather at all. But you should certainly invest in a good pair of shoes. You can't go wrong. And also, potentially your date might be checking out your shoes. My dad's a big believer in always polishing your shoes. So I could show you mine today, and I think I might actually when we move on to the docks, because I have a very, very similar pair here. But he always recommends, make sure that I shine my shoes whenever I'm going out. And I always try and adhere to that, especially when I'm seeing him, especially when I'm seeing my parents. I always make sure that I'm wearing a clean, hopefully pressed shirt and a good, clean, buffeted pair of shoes. And again, in regards to shoe maintenance, this is something you certainly look into in regards to making sure you get your shoes shined on a very regular basis to make sure that you keep that leather in check, make sure it doesn't dry, make sure the dirt is away at all times, because leather is quite porous, so they do need to be attended by a good shoe polish or a good shoe polisher on a very regular basis. So do make sure, I know certainly in New York there's plenty of shoe shining shops around there. Once I actually did a very short documentary about a shoe shiner in New York. And I think I learned quite a bit. And he gave me a free shoe shine, so I can't go too wrong there. Okay, guys, moving on to our next product. It is the Amblers James Leather Solid Shoe, or soled shoe, actually, not solid, but I'm sure hopefully leather, but I believe shoe base is solid. So, as I just mentioned to you, the fall coming up, if you want to go, puddle stamping, puddle jumping, is that what it's called? Probably best not to wear a good pair of nice new shoes. They are leather. They have a 1/4 inch heel. Again, we talked about heels earlier, that men were the first to wear them. And they do have 5 eyelets as well. So very similar in regards to the length of the other shoe that we had earlier. Again, really important when we talk about shoe maintenance in regards to having spare pairs of laces. And again, making sure that you have the right size lace for the right number of eyelets is also incredibly important as well. I certainly would always make sure that you have, so again, we talk about 5 eyelets are very, very popular in regards to formal shoes. Sometimes they can be 4. That's okay because the extra added length, you could just tie in a double knot if you need to. But also, if you're going to start wearing ankle length boots, for instance, then make sure that you have, I think is it 10? It might be 10 eyelets. But extra laces as well. Again, something that just makes this show today, guys, has gone awfully quickly. I'll be honest with you. I told you there was a lot to get through today. Told you there was a lot to get through. So these are my favorites out of the 5 shoes that I've shown you today. 5 products, and they're Doc Martens. And I am a big, big fan of Docs. I've been wearing them for a number of years. And actually, if you just, I'm not going to try and move the iPhone too much because I don't want to give you vertigo, guys. But I do have a pair of Docs with me now. So they are very, very similar, albeit the only difference really is that instead of having the slightly more rubberized see-through soles, these are all black. These are black and complete. And also they don't have usually Docs obviously are very famous for having the yellow trim around where the sole meets the leather. These don't have them. And actually, to be fair, I can't see them having them in these either. But if that's something you're looking for, then they do certainly still have that sort of traditional yellow trim in place. But I love Docs. They are certainly a very long-lasting shoe. I mean, I've had the ones I've just shown you now for a number of years, and they do last. So obviously, this is the most expensive product that I'm showing on today's show. But sometimes it's really worth just investing that extra money because you will be able to get the length out of them, certainly. And, I mean, as we spoke about before in the show, in regards to the way I treat my clothing, sometimes isn't really the best of what it could be. I can be a little bit rough and tumble with a lot of my clothing, especially some of my vintage stuff as well. They really do stand the test of time. But in regards to a good pair of Docs, they can last you for a number of years and you can get a lot of wear out of them. So I would highly recommend looking at Docs. The history of Docs is really fascinating as well. Originated in Germany, but were actually produced in England again, and they actually took off in the 1950s and 60s in England. And actually, you could go to one of the original Doc Martens stores, which is right next to Camden Town Station in North London. So the next time you're in London, do check out that Doc Martens store. It's very, very famous. And toe capped. So apparently they do offer toe protection as well with that cap. So again, this is something that you do need to keep in mind because they will be slightly heavier. Not necessarily docs, but I've had like workman's boots before. When I was in Australia a number of years ago, I saw these really great. In Australia, they're called workman tradies, and they were really great tradies boots. But they were metal toe capped, and as cool as they were, and I did spend a bit of money on them as well. They're great leather boots, but heavy to wear around and trade around it. I was in Istanbul and it was snowing, and it hadn't snowed in Istanbul for about 15 years or 20 years on that week. And I got out, and I don't know, maybe the taxi driver was just a bit excited to leave, or maybe he skidded a little bit, but he actually drove over my foot. And I expected to feel pain, and thankfully I didn't because I was wearing the Doc Martin boots. So there you go, they saved me. And I actually remember taking a picture of the time of the tire mark coming across the leather, which actually I was able to clean up, and you wouldn't even notice a scratch on them. So if that isn't a proven testament to Doc Martin shoes, guys, I don't know what is. So we are coming to the 5 today. That's certainly my favorite shoe. I can certainly give full testament to those that we just spoke about. I had my foot ran over rather, by a taxi wearing Doc Martens, and I thankfully my toes rather, survived, and I was able to go off on my night out. Guys, this has been once again a really fantastic show. Do please take advantage if you are looking at buying a new pair of shoes, or if you want to expand your collection with this 15% live stream deal. I believe it still is available for the next half an hour after this show ends. So once again, do take advantage of that. I'll be back, not in the same place, in a different place, but at exactly the same time on the Verishop live stream app. I very much look forward to seeing you then and there. And have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Enjoy, and I will see you next week. Bye bye for now.